What about the women in your life, your mom and your grandmother, inspired this place, inspired your fashion choices?
Well, my grandmother was a huge influence on my life. Her name was Draper, hence the name Draper James, and she was from Cookeville, Tennessee, and she was just always put together. She looked beautiful, and she didn't have a lot of money. She didn't spend a lot of money, but she always pulled herself together, whether it was her bag or her belt, or she just always believed that you put your best face to the world. And when you present yourself to the world in a way that you feel confident, the world sees you as confident. And I learned a lot from her.
There is a list of Southernisms on the Draper James blog. What's your favorite?
My favorite is what my dad used to say to me every day: you got to make hay while the sun shines. There's no time like now to get things done. So I always remember that.
And so you do that?
Oh, I'm making hay while the sun shines, Jenna, all day long. I said the other day to this group of girls, they said, what do you think that you could do to grow? And I said, if I lean any further, I'm gonna fall over. I can't.
You talked about leaning in. You're a mother of a teenage girl.
Yes.
I have 2 little girls myself. You spent part of your time here in Nashville speaking to Girls Inc. What do you want for girls across our country and really across the world?
I was really thinking about what we wanted to do. A girlfriend of mine who's so just good-hearted was talking to me about Girls Inc. and what an incredible program it is. And I thought, I spent a lot of time at the YWCA here in Nashville when I was a little girl, taking jazzercise classes with my mom and going to bridge classes with my grandma. It's where I learned to play gin rummy.
I love gin rummy.
I know, it's so fun. And, being part of that community and giving back, and Girls Inc. does this incredible work where they implement programs after school in public schools about social media education. But one thing that I thought was really important is financial education. Because if you can give that foundation to a young woman and teach her what credit scores are, or teach them how to be responsible with a student loan, or how to balance their checkbook just early in life, that is a huge stepping stone to success. And when we empower women, our communities grow, our cities grow, our states grow, and we ultimately take care of ourselves.
When you spoke to some of those girls, did you see yourself or your daughter or even your young grandmother in their faces?
Absolutely. And I saw them so eager to learn, and I saw these young women who were just so, open and ready to have an opportunity to have a leg up in life. I mean, we all need that little boost, we need to hear about financial education, not just from our family. Sometimes I think families sometimes only talk to their sons, not their daughters, about financial education, and it's so important. So many women end up taking care of the bills, and if we don't give them those fundamental skills, they can never get ahead, ever. So it was really exciting to be there and see also these mothers who brought their daughters, who are willing to say, you know what, I don't know everything about this. It's okay to not know, and to seek out programs like the ones that Girls Inc. are providing in schools across the U.S. and say, I want to learn more about this. Because moms can come too, which is great. It's important.
Speaking of women in the world, Elle Woods was an unlikely feminist in some ways. You got a little bit of attention this week saying that you wish, in some ways we could find out what she's doing now. What is she doing in your own mind?
I'm not sure, but someone asked me the other day, what's Elle Woods doing? And I said, people have been talking about it for years, but I think it's a really great time to talk about women in politics. I mean, we are 50% of the population, but we're only about 17% of the government, which is not fair representation. And we can't expect people to legislate about our rights and how women feel about things if we don't have balance in government. So I'm a big proponent of just getting more women into politics. Whatever your ideas and your beliefs are, just don't wait for somebody to ask you. raise your hand, volunteer, get in there. So I think Elle Woods is a good inspiration in that way. I've been all over the world. I've had people, a group of girls in China said, we went to law school because of Elle Woods. And it's incredible. I spoke in front of 100 female judges in Washington, D.C. about 3 years ago. They all knew me. They thought I was a lawyer. I would tell people, I'm like, I'm not a lawyer. But it's great to have those role models on film, women on film who inspire young people to do great things.
Mm-hmm. Well, what about you? Would you ever run?
Oh my goodness.
Is that a lot of pressure?
That's leaning in till I fall over. No, I never rule anything out. I never say never because I am very passionate about, you know, how can we take care of people in this country? And I believe so much that we live in the greatest country, that we have so many freedoms as women and as people, and that we need to give back to our government. And it's hard to not get disillusioned sometimes, but you have to remember that, gosh, these people are working so hard to take care of our country, and they're doing jobs that I'm not sure I would be willing to raise my hand and do right now.
When I drove up, I saw your grandparents' names on the door, and I know as a Southern girl myself how important names are.
Oh, yeah.
Did that choke you up a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, seeing my grandmother's name, having people say my grandmother's name and talk about the story is so emotional for me. And I know so many people out there are raised by their grandparents. My parents were around and they were lovely, but they were working all the time. And so my grandmother picked me up from school every day and made my dinner every night and tutored my brother when he was having a hard time in English class. And grandparents are amazing, and it's so important to honor those people in our lives. So I was very emotional too when I went down and visited this factory in Georgia where there's 40 women between the ages of 40 and 70 making our blue jeans. And there they were doing this. They've done it for 35 years. They've been making blue jeans. And they showed me from start to finish how they did it. And then at the very end, they sewed in my grandparents' name. And I just burst into tears because they talk like my grandma. They sound like my grandma. And they hug you like a grandma would. And it's just so wonderful to have that feeling of being back in the South.
I'm a daughter of a librarian, so reading runs in my DNA. And I was speaking to a publisher yesterday, and I told her I was going to be interviewing you, and she said she's done so much for books. I follow your little book club on Instagram, and I always take a picture and send it to my sister.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. What do you love to read?
you.
Is this part of you?
I love to read, and my grandmother, I will never forget, because my grandmother was a first grade teacher and at a public school over here in Nashville, and she would, from the time I was 3 years old, she'd sit me on her lap and she'd read to me for an hour a day in all the different voices of all the characters. And I think that's probably why I became an actor, because I heard all those different voices. And she would perform it for me, but she also made me love books. And from then, I have just literally been a reader. I read every night. It relaxes me. But I'm so excited about helping so many writers bring their stories to the screen, because that's something I know how to do. So I just kind of plugged in two different things that I really enjoy, which is books and making movies. And it somehow has been just really, people have just really gotten very invested in our ideas and what our company is doing, which is amazing, because primarily we make films with women at the center of them. And women are really responding to that. The audience is loving that. So it's a great time for books right now.
We were talking a little bit about our moms and the mom text.
Yes, the mom text. I was telling you that my mom wrote, Wednesday morning, love mom. I'm like, great, Mom, I know it's Wednesday morning.
she just wanted to tell you she was there, right?
Yeah.
Do you think?
She's like, bank, donut, traffic, love Mom.
Don't you think it was what she was going through her mind? It was her to-do list.
She gives you her to-do list in the morning.
Or is there anything you do that your daughter's like, oh, Mom, the mom text, the mom dance? I mean, I know my poor daughter's going to be like, ooh, please put your moves away, you know?
Definitely. Well, I like to have dance party in the morning because I drink coffee and then I have lots of energy, and it's mortifying to my children. They also don't like it when I use what do you call those hashtags with the acronyms?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm like
YOLO?
YOLO, yeah. Or LOL, BRB. Ava's like, oh my God, you have got to stop.
Oh, well, okay. But
But
you
she
won't.
also educates me. She's like, Mom, I'm like, what is OTP? She's like, Mom, one true pair.
Wait, I don't know what BRB stands for.
Be right back.
Oh, be right back. Okay, thank you very much. I needed that.
I have a teenager. I'll help you out.
Yes. I can't wait for that, although I'm scared, I have to say.
No, it's great.
It's good?
It's so good.
My dad used to say, let the sleeping vipers lie.
My dad said, don't poke the bear.
Well,
Yeah.
we're one and the same.
And I always said to my don't poke the bear.
My mom would be like, shouldn't we wake the girls up? Let the sleeping vipers lie.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.